Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for round 2, front 9 action of the Bluff City Open. Starting right off at hole 1, par 3, 315 feet. And we've got a little bit of a different lineup right now. We've got Logan Weiss, or Weiss. I will be perfectly honest, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Logan shooting the, I believe this is the course record 12 down, followed by Chad, which we saw round 1, shooting 11 down. Logan opting for this hyzer throw over the road and parking it. Absolute tap in, perfect throw there. Chad up now, he's going to follow that same line. I'm going to say this is his Helioscorpius. I could be wrong. Catching some early brush, but he'll end up inbounds on the right side, so he'll actually have a tap in as well, I believe. Could be wrong. Nathan up now, following that same line he threw round 1, just straight down the middle. I should probably mention OB Road here on the right hand side, and then an OB cart path winding all the way around behind the basket and through the left side. Nathan shooting a very good 9 down. Thunder and his brother Simeon tied with 8 down. Thunder throwing very high. He'll end up in a very similar spot to where he was in round 1. And I think this is the first time we have seen Simeon on a Magnolia State production coverage, at least. Also opting for this nice hyzer line here. Putting himself in a great position there to the left of the basket, and behind that myrtle, it's a magnolia tree. Goodness gracious. It's the namesake of the channel. Ooh, just a little right side for Thunder there. Great bid on that one. That thing had some zip. Simeon from just a bit closer, probably about 5-10 feet. Making good on his birdie putt. There we see Chad's disc tombstoned into the side of the hill there. It did dry up a little bit between the rounds. We had about an hour break. And it has gotten quite warm now. Chad just a bit low. Not quite committed enough. It's kind of in that range where you're kind of scared to give it a full bid, because if you go long past the basket, you've got that OB, and you're so close to it that, if you juice it, now you've got the same putt coming back. Nathan good for his 2. Beautiful round 1 and round 2 shot for this hole. Thunder just cleaning up his par, and Logan tapping in his great 2 here. On to hole 2, par 3, 381 feet. Definitely a bit of a crush, especially if you've got a little bit of a noodle arm like myself. We have an OB golf green to the left and an OB cart path to the right, but it's pretty far, so you don't really have to worry about it. Up first with that tap in on the last hole, we've got Logan. Opting for the backhand turnover, looks like. Putting a great line on this. This is absolutely smashed. He will actually end up about pin high, but over on the right side. Which is not ideal. There's a bunch of trees all around the basket, so you've really got to be in front of that little cove there to have a good look at it, or to the left hand side. Nathan putting a nice line on this one. Very similar to what happened in round one. He'll end up in about the same spot, maybe a little bit closer. Simeon breaking out the forehand. Putting some nice flex on this one. He'll end up in a great spot, although we can't see it. Simeon, like his brother Thunder and Simon, or Silas Schultz, all sponsored by Discmania. Chad throwing a Halo Roadrunner here that is absolutely beefy. You hear him complain about it right there in the background. Thunder also opting for the forehand. Going a little too stable on this one. He'll end up in an okay spot, but definitely not quite the line that he wanted. We saw him maybe 10-15 feet closer round one, and he made that putt. So trying to call it in, doesn't quite listen to him. I was going to say pay attention, but discs don't pay attention, they listen. When you say nice, they automatically go to the next available tree. Logan giving that a nice little bid there, but just missed the line a little bit. But you're that far out of position, what can you do? Chad from probably about the same distance here. Ooh, hit metal. No chains though. Here's Nathan. This is actually closer than where he was in round one, if I recall. Just a little low. Not quite enough juice on that one. Here's Simeon from his drive. Card in the only two of this card, at least. Definitely a nice stroke to make up when you are as far back as him and his brother Thunder. Here we are at hole 3, par 3, 204 feet, one of the shorter holes on the course. We've got these guardian trees here in front of the tee pad, and then here closer to the basket we've got these two nice big guardian trees. OB left hand side, it's a painted line and some little white flags. Simon opting to skip something in close to the basket. He'll end up, I believe, between those two guardian trees. The guardian trees next to the basket, that is. I know there's a couple of guardian trees on this hole. Logan just barely missing that tree, and he'll end up in a fantastic spot. Nathan putting a great line on this. He'll end up probably 20-25 feet past the basket. Chad Knight going nice and low, nice and skippy. Unfortunately getting caught up by one of those guardian trees, so he'll have a little bit of a tester. A little bit of a straddle putt. Fun fact, Logan the only pro player on our card who is not sponsored. At least not sponsored by like a major manufacturer. I believe this is his mutant that Thunder's throwing, putting a nice line on that one. Simeon, finding the window here. Getting in the way of the shot. What a jerk. Good 2 from Simeon here. Chad from a very similar situation. Also carding the 2, little bit left side, but hey, we won't talk about that. And I thought Nathan was further back, but I was wrong, it looks like. And Thunder and Logan to tap in their 2s. Here we are, hole 4, par 3, 320 feet. We have an OB line all on the left side. We've got this OB cart path all on the right side and then curving up and around the basket. So kind of plays a little bit like an island. And then there is a mandatory to the right of a power pole on the left there. And then we've got this nice big magnolia tree with these nice thick branches to just catch your disc if you're just a little too high. Simeon up first. Throwing a nice little hyzer here. Coming up just a little bit short. He'll probably have a 15-20 footer. Logan putting a fantastic line on this one. Look at that. Parked it. Nice little skip shot there. Nathan ended up in a very similar position to Simeon. Just coming up a tiny bit short. Chad throwing a nice line here. Ending up in a fantastic spot. He should have a pretty good look at the 2. Looks like Thunder's also throwing his mutant here. He'll end up in a great position as well. Oh my gosh, I thought Chad was closer to it than this. Shows what I know. Excuse me. Great 2 from here. Nice little tester putt. Build some confidence early on. Ooh, Nathan just somehow not catching any of the chains enough to stick. That looked like a good putt to me, but I don't know. What do I know? Simeon also making a good putt here. Thunder from just a little bit closer. Still taking his time. Good 2 from there. Nathan with a very short comebacker here. Yep, just tapping that one in. And finally we get to Logan's drive. Hole 5, par 3, 343 feet. We have an OB cart path here to the left, and then we have an OB road all the way down the line. So if you throw about 360, 370 feet, you will be OB long. And then we've got the cart path and road kind of converging in the corner there up by the basket, so kind of scary. And then we've got all these trees, and we've got this beautiful tree. I don't know what species it is, but it's gorgeous that the basket's hanging from, and it's just a very, very pretty tree. Simeon up first. Show us the line. Going inside of those trees with a pretty straight disc. He'll skip a little bit toward the basket, and he'll end up in a pretty good spot. Ooh, just barely missing that tree. Not skipping as much as he would like. The ground there was kind of gravelly, so I'm not sure why it didn't skip. Or it may have skipped and maybe we just didn't see it. Chad throwing super wide. Hitting the basket, almost acing. That was a fantastic shot. Thunder seeing if he can find the OB long. I think it ended up inbounds. We'll see on the scorecard here in a minute, but pretty sure he's okay. I believe this is his buzz that Nathan's throwing, and I think we can see why. Beautiful shot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he ended up in bounds because that looks like way more than a meter. And actually, that little wire fence or rope fence there, that's actually the OB line. So you've got only a couple feet between that and the road. Trying to call it in, but hey, they don't always listen. Simeon just really low here. It is a hanging basket, so you do have some height to contend with. Great putt from Nathan there. Nice and casual, just a little light toss. Chad thankfully not actually skipping OB after hitting the top of the basket. From ace to birdie. You hate to see it. Chad, a real gentleman, stopping the basket from swinging so Thunder could get his putt in. And I was totally wrong. Logan's disc obviously ended up in a pretty nice spot here, and definitely skipped way more than what I saw. And he's good for his two. Here we are at hole 6, par 3, 258 feet. We have this OB cart path here to the left, and then I don't believe there's any OB on the right-hand side, at least not for a long time. But this is a pretty tough hole. It's not super long, but lots and lots of trees in the way, so definitely not without its danger, as we saw in round 1 where Morgan unfortunately hit a couple of early trees. And we got this very pretty protected basket. Logan up first. Thank you, Jason and Mary Beth Wilson. And as of this recording, it's Mary Beth's birthday today, so happy birthday, Mary Beth. Logan putting a great line on that, almost ringing up the ace, just a couple feet off. Chad will end up on the left side. Nathan taking this nice and wide. He'll end up in a pretty decent spot. Simeon similarly taking a nice little skip play. He'll end up right in front of the basket. Looks like he's lining up his mutant here. Could be a tactic. I'm not sure. Looked like a great line, but unfortunately hitting that big guardian pine tree there. He'll end up pretty well outside the circle. Looks like about 70 feet or so. Not quite enough angle on that one. Nathan, for some reason, missing the basket entirely by about 3 feet, and just throwing it underneath. You know, just a nice easy layup. Simeon hitting the top of the basket, thankfully not skipping super long, which definitely didn't happen to me a couple of times. Definitely not. And Chad did end up out of bounds, but in a good spot to get the 3 here. But definitely unfortunate to be dropping that stroke here on what I'm sure most of our pros consider a must get. Especially when you have the leader, Logan, getting it, bumping his lead up to 3 strokes. Hole 7, par 3, 178 feet. We have this OB. Wow, what's with the hate on the lefties, right? Or actually, it's the right-handed players. Lefties are, you got a little bit more wiggle room, but yeah. What's with the hate on the left side? I mean, come on. let's be real here. Let's be real. This is some discrimination. OB left side, no OB on the right side. What the heck? Hey, a lefty-friendly course here. Huge shout out to Barbara and Sean Trapp for sponsoring this hole once again. Logan with a standstill forehand. He'll end up pin high, maybe a little bit cut off with that tree, but should be able to straddle around. Chad not quite as big as Logan, so he's got to do a little bit of a run up. He thought he hit that tree, I think, but he ended up skipping way long. So he'll probably have like a 50-footer. Nathan also opting for the forehand and skipping a bit long, and he'll definitely be cut off with that tree in the way. No backhands for some reason. That OB must get in their heads. And Simeon putting in a great spot. Should be a pretty easy tap in there. Thunder hanging this one out nice and wide. But he will in fact come inbounds and end up in a good spot. Oh, I could have sworn I saw his disc way closer up. But it doesn't matter because it's still in the basket. Chad from distance. With authority. Just like the commercial said, and it's in. Great two from Chad. Here we have Nathan very cut off with that tree, having to straddle and still put a lot of angle on the disc. And just never really given it the height, but really far out of position, so par is not the worst result. Logan making good on his two. And we finally get to Thunder's drive, which was very difficult to see, but he did end up in a good spot. He also makes good on his two. Almost a star frame. Here we are on hole 8, par 3, 393 feet. Definitely the hardest par 3 that we've got on the course, at least distance-wise. We've got an OB cart path on the right. Hey, finally, that curves around, kind of joins the road behind the basket, and then returns again on the left side. So the entire hole, surrounded by OB. Thankfully, the water feature on this hole was not present during the time of coverage, so didn't have to worry about slogging through all of that. But you really just got to smash it down there and miss the couple of initial trees. Smash your way down there and give yourself a look. Logan up first. Definitely putting some good movement on this one. Just flexing it all the way out there. Great throw from Logan. Ooh, Chet catching a little bit of greenery there. Still ending up in a great spot, though. He's about pin high. Maybe a little bit short, but definitely giving himself a look. Simeon catching one of these early trees, putting himself in a pretty difficult position to get up and down for the par. He always fakes me out. Like, he does this every hole, and I never learn. I'm always like, oh, he's going to throw this time. "30 seconds, Thunder. 30 seconds. Ooh, very unlucky kick. But still luckily going forward about 250 feet. Nathan also yanking this one way over, but thankfully not ending up out of bounds. He will still end up in the middle of the fairway. Nice little soft turnover here with what looks like his buzz. He will end up in a great spot. Great look at the two. Simeon from just a little bit further up than him. Him being Nathan. Throwing this huge hyzer. Ending up in a good position. Good look at the three here. Thunder just pitching up. Simeon giving himself a little bit of a tester putt here. So it looks like about 30, 40 feet. Ooh, just a little low. When you put yourself in that kind of position, I mean, it's kind of what you expect. You're like, I hope I get the three. Chad definitely given this enough of a bid, but just a little bit too far to the side. And unfortunately skipping and rolling just a bit. So he's got a little bit of a shorter comebacker, but still a comeback nonetheless. But he's good for it. Definitely liking that left side. Nathan with his look at the par. Easy tap in. And we finally get to Logan. Definitely a birdie to be proud of here. Not many on the field going to be getting this one. We arrive finally at hole 9, par 3, 217 feet. We've just got a bunch of trees. I mean, what more is there to say? We technically have an OB road all the way to the right, but you'd have to get really, really far out to the right there, through that opening there. How many times can I say there in a sentence? There, there, there. Up first, we've got Logan. Looks like he's thrown one of his pures. I don't know his bag super well, but a couple of the discs really stuck out. He'll end up in a pretty decent spot. Good look at the basket from there. And I move over further to the left to hopefully get a better look. Chad kind of turning this one over too much, hitting one of those early trees. Thankfully kicking out to the middle of the fairway though, so can't complain about that too much, although you know he will. I'm finally learning. I didn't zoom in all the way. Thunder putting a fantastic line on this one. Unfortunately catching a late tree, one of those late guardian trees around the basket, but he will still be pin high with a pretty clear look at it. Nathan putting a great line on this, and he'll actually be blasting past the basket with that. So he'll have a little bit of a tester coming back. And that's worst case scenario right there for Simeon, hitting a really early tree and kicking immediately left. No, not OB, thankfully. I think actually those train tracks, I think there's a painted line. But I'll be honest with you, I don't remember. And it hasn't come into effect, so no OB to speak of. Wink, wink. And Simeon absolutely pulling this one out of a hat. Getting from there to where he is now is amazing. He's in a great spot. Comparatively speaking. Chad really giving that a nice run. Just a little bit low. Thunder making good on that too. You gotta take him when you can. And Simeon for his par save. Absolutely magical. That was so cool to witness that. That was awesome. That was the best scramble shot I've ever seen. Nathan squeaking that one in. Just barely over the rim. And here we finally get to Logan. Maintaining a 5-stroke lead coming into the back 10. That is a great position to be in. And Chad to clean up his par.